Welcome. In this episode of the Coaches Corner, I'm joined by Dale Russell, head coach of men's rugby at Division III Alfred University in the beautiful mountains of upstate New York. Alfred University is home to about 1,400 undergraduate students and is known for its outstanding ceramics, glass science, and materials engineering course, as well as its art and design and business offerings. The men's rugby program is led by head coach Dale Russell. Coach Russell is a relatively new addition to the Alfred Rugby program and joined the team after leading the University of Maine to the 2024 NCR Division II National Championship. Welcome, Coach Russell.
Hello, welcome. Or I guess thanks for having me. Yeah, I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. Let's just dive right in. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, so I am originally from Florida. That's where I played my high school and college rugby. I began coaching in 2008 as a player coach for the University of West Florida, where I was also attending. After I graduated, I attended grad school there and continued on as the team's head coach. Once I finished grad school, I got my first full-time job at the University of Maine, where I then coached for 9 years as well. And then during that time there, when I got there, Maine was a middle of the road program, and then we became nationally competitive both in 15s and sevens. And then, as you mentioned, my last match as head coach at the University of Maine was the D2 Sevens national championship that we won. I've now been at Alfred for a year and a half now as their head men's coach and women's assistant coach, specializing in the forwards for the women's team, and recently completed my master's degree in coaching.
Great, and not a bad way to go out at the University of Maine for your last game to win the national championships.
Yeah, no, I don't think there's no better way to leave, I guess, on top. Yeah, it was,
Pretty cool. Can you tell
yeah.
me about the rugby program at Alfred? And you mentioned that you are involved with both the men's and the women's program. If you want to take a moment to talk about both, that would be great.
Yeah, so both our programs are varsity programs. We, which means we're under athletics, fully funded by the university. Both programs are fairly new. So, like I said, I was brought on, it was last summer, or I guess a summer ago in the summer of 24. And basically that was the beginning of both of our men's and women's programs. The school has a long history of rugby as a club team, and and that kind of with COVID being a club team, it kind of died out. And then, like I said, last year they brought back rugby in a varsity capacity. Um, we um, we're both teams are very like culture wise are a very tight knit group um, that hold each other accountable and have a desire to compete both at practice and um, during matches. We have a full time athletic trainer who's with our programs both during practice and our matches. Strength and conditioning coach, coach that designs our S&C programs for us, and then we lift in our varsity weight rooms. And then we are wrapping up construction on our brand new facility. As a whole, it's a $30 million facility in rugby. We'll have a full size grass rugby pitch with lights, a grandstand, which we do our live streaming for all of our matches, and our a building right next to that will have our house our locker rooms, and then there's a turf field right next to that building, which has rugby lines. So in the early, I guess late winter, early spring when we can't get on the grass, we'll have a site to still train and play if we need to.
That's fantastic. That new facility must be something you're desperately waiting for it to be ready to watch it growing and building. It must be you're itching to use it.
Yeah, it's been awesome. Like the construction started last October, and So, we're a little over a year now into the construction project. The rugby pitch, that portion is done. They actually finished it over the summer, but we grass needs time to grow. And for rugby specifically, we want some deep roots. And then so this fall was kind of crazy because we had like seven teams on one field that we were sharing for practice and games and stuff. So yeah, like in season team. So it'll be really exciting next year when it's just us and the women's team using our field. So
Absolutely. It must have taken some creative scheduling. Speaking of scheduling, could you tell me what a typical week looks like for your players if you factor in classes, training, lifting, games? How does that all play out?
yeah, so typical week. Our schedule varies a little bit for fall and spring, so I'll kind of break it down there. But typically, they're in classes, and it varies again by student, but Monday through Friday, morning to around 3:30. Most students start finishing up classes in the afternoon. Some have a little later afternoon classes. And it varies like by major. Some days Tuesday, Thursday's the heavier day for classes. Some day Monday, Wednesday. It all varies. But they're in classes, throughout the day. And then at the end of the class day, we will train for 15s, which we play in the fall. We train 4 days a week, and have two strength and conditioning sessions during the week. That is in the evening. Uh, that is in the evening. Our Monday is traditionally our film recovery day, and then we'll play a match on the weekends, whether that's Friday evening, Saturday, or Sunday. Traditionally, it's either Friday evening or Saturday, and then the guys get 2 days rest. So they'll either get Friday, Sunday off if we play Saturday, or whatever combination of that. And then traditionally, I guess my I guess sample week would look like for them. Monday, I guess, is a lift, recovery, and film day. Tuesday is our big contact day, and then Wednesday we have another lift, and then skills day, and Thursday's a walkthrough training day. In the spring, we play we're sevens focused, and so similar structure, but I I I know that they are student athletes first. So if we are traveling, or if we had just traveled the week before, I usually give them because we travel a little further for our sevens tournaments or leave the night before. We only train 3 days the week after versus 4 days. So I still try to give them that 2 days off um, every week so that they can stay on top of their schoolwork. And some guys work as well, so I want to make sure they have time to do that as well.
So, what do your big lads do in the spring during seven season? Do they still train? Are there friendlies? How does that play out?
Yeah, so I they still train with us. Um I will put in for some tournaments. I will put in a second side that is entirely our big lads. They instead of being the B side, they're the beef side. And so they go. So they'll get to play. Ultimately, I think 15s obviously is a very technical strategy oriented game. And so you don't get to spend as much time on the small skills as much as you would want to in the fall. So that gives them the time in the spring that they get to drastically improve passing, um, and so they're not behind like the backs or the smaller uh, forwards that are playing sevens. And then their workout program's a little different than the guys that are in season for seven. So they're more in a true off season workout. They'll lift an extra day a week uh, throughout the spring, and so that they can get be prepared
So
for
who do
15.
you, in the 15 season, for example, who do you play against and how far do you travel?
Yeah, so our conference is the Lake Effect Conference. We play. Our conference consists of Buffalo State, uh, SUNY Brockport, SUNY Geneseo, University of Rochester, uh, Lemoyne, Ithaca College, and Colgate. So that would be like our regular season opponents. We're looking at making some changes in the conference, so we might not play everyone next year. But that's our regular season opponents. And then we are lucky enough geographically that we're located next to both Allegheny and the Mark conferences, rugby conferences. And so geographically, we're fairly close to them. So we tend or will we are beginning to play them teams from those conferences in like cross conference or out of conference matches to prepare and get better.
Great. Great. Could you describe for me your team culture and what is important to you within your team environment?
Yeah, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but we're a really tight knit group of guys. Even though actually the program as a whole has only been around for about a year. Um, Last year spent a lot of time building like building that team culture, um, where the guys do hold themselves accountable, and like I said, compete. They care and support each other, both on the field and off the field. And then in August every year we have a preseason camp that's 10 days long and before school starts. And that's really where that culture, um, is made. We spend a lot of time during those 10 days working on team culture. Um, it's before the students get to campus. So it's really just the athletes on. So it's just them and their teammates. And so every night they do something together that they plan, to keep that. And yeah.
That's terrific. Let's rewind a little bit. Before they ever even get to campus, when you're in the recruitment process, what do you look for in a top recruit, and what do you consider to be a red flag?
Yeah. So for me, I guess what I'm looking for in top recruit um, is rugby IQ, their work rate on the field, um, coachability. I think is massive. So coming in and willing to learn and willing to keep getting better, and not coming in knowing thinking that I'm the best. You know, I may have been the top recruit in my class, but I can still get better. And then a desire to be a leader. We're still a really new program, so you know our top recruits come in and still have there's a good opportunity for them to come in and play their first year. And so being a leader on the field is something that I'm looking for, with that. And then I guess wanting to play, like coming in and playing and not looking to sit, like the desire to play rugby from day one, opposed to sitting behind, maybe a junior or senior, uh, and developing. And then I think for me, red flags is not being a team player. Rugby obviously is a massive team sport. So both not being a team player on the field, but then also, off the field, and then that know-it-all attitude, where, I'm better than everyone. And we have guys on the team that have been playing for a long time and have a lot of rugby IQ and, more experience than some of the other guys on the team. And they really like our 10 took a lot of players under the wing, his wing this year, and like helped them to develop. And that's what I'm looking for, versus like, oh, I'm better than you. And yeah,
Sure.
like,
How you talk about wanting to play? How deep is your roster? Do freshmen get game time? How does that work?
yeah. So this year we had I got total roster of 21. Um, we have two seniors, and then we were only able, I think we dressed the most 18 with injuries and throughout the season, 18. So yes, our first years come here and play. I there's next year I'm hope we should be around 30 on the roster, but I still think that I that if someone coming in with rugby experience has the opportunity to play their first year. Um, we started all but one of our seven fresh, or no, we had eight this year. So first years started all but one pretty consistently. I think from like I, yeah, pretty consistently. Six of them started all every match or would have. They had a couple injuries, and then one of them earned by like week two had earned a starting spot. So
So plenty of playing time.
plenty of playing time. Yeah.
Great. And what is the role of internationals on your team?
So we are I think really unique in that we have a ton of internationals on our team, but I would say we only have one true like traditional like rugby international. So our campus as a whole is super diverse. Our incoming class from this last fall had students from 29 different countries. Um, and then bringing in internationals, I'm looking for that experience in rugby knowledge. Um, Looking for like same thing with like being a leader on the field. Um, I think last like in 2024, we only had 12 guys and really weren't able to play 15s. We got two matches of 15s where we borrowed some guys from some other teams. And what I noticed was, if we borrowed a guy from a who was more experienced, he could point them in the right direction, and then we found success. Versus if we just borrowed a body, we did, and then it was just chaos. I think this year we've gotten that going, and so just bringing in more leaders on the field. Um, like I mentioned earlier, we have a high percentage of uh, internationals on the team, but they are, most of them are new to rugby. So
It's a really
it's nice.
eclectic
So that
group.
yeah, and so the culture of the team is super unique, and it blends. They blend really well together. We have one of the one of the players who is American, but his family is from Jamaica. You know, his mom came down and fed the whole team like a massive Jamaican dinner um, uh, one day for us, and that was just awesome, and just like the experience. And so try to keep everyone's culture alive and like do exciting things. So
That sounds like a lot of fun. One of the things that is troublesome to everyone, right, is the cost of attending university. And with internationals in particular, it's so important because in many other countries, the university doesn't cost the same as what it does in America, so people aren't as prepared as maybe they could be if they were living stateside. So could you talk to me a little bit about academic rugby scholarships, how the scholarship structure works at Alfred?
yeah, so we're a Division 3 school, and like I mentioned earlier, we're housed in athletics. And so with that being the case, we don't have any rugby specific scholarships or athletic specific scholarships. But the university as a whole, it does offer generous academic scholarships. Um, we treat all applicants the same, meaning international students are eligible for the same amount of scholarships as domestic students. So that I think is something that is unique to us. Our packages are from admissions are up to $33,000 a year. And our largest scholarship is for students in their, I'll say, junior year, a year out from attending school. Our AU scholarship is given to one junior at every high school in the world, or I guess one junior at every high school in the world is eligible to receive the scholarship. And we also offer 12.5% sibling discount. So if you like a and their sibling both attended, they would both receive a 12.5% discount.
So the scholarship that impacts juniors. So, for example, that's the year for people who aren't familiar with that term. It's the year before you finish school. So if you're in the UK, that would be year 12. And I think that that's particularly useful for the international audience, right? Because it's unlikely that there would be more than one student applying to Alfred from your school if you're overseas. It might be a bit trickier if you're in New York, Pennsylvania, the surrounding areas. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's correct. I would say that that scholarship is very well known and highly publicized, geographically close to campus. And as you get further away, it is less known. It did start originally as only a New York scholarship, and then I think after a couple years they added a few states close, like the states that bordered New York, and then they went national with it, and then it was any state, and then last, so the this the class of 26, the class coming in now, is the first set of international students that were eligible for the scholarship.
Okay.
So yeah, it's now, and so for international students, it's only been one group that had the ability to get that scholarship. So, but our like I said, our senior or final year of school scholarships are also very generous um, as well. It's like I think 28 is the um, like largest package compared to the 30 of the
And
AU scholars, so it's fairly close.
typically people apply to college when they're in their last year of school. So for that junior year, are you actually applying that year or are you applying for the scholarship?
So you are nominated for the scholarship
Okay.
by someone from your school, whether it's like a guidance counselor or a dean or principal or instructor or teacher. There nominates you for it. If you receive the scholarship, it does come with acceptance. So it's not you're not really applying. You're being nominated for the scholarship. It comes with an acceptance to the school in general. And then if you specifically are interested in engineering or our arts program, there's a little bit extra you have to do on top of that to get accepted to those schools. Um, but if you're going any other major, then you're in with that major. And you find out, I think we start releasing that last year, it was, I think, mid-April when they started releasing the announcements. And then like they did like in batches, like it was like April 15th, March 5th, or May 15th, and then June 15th. But I'm not exactly sure they were like how they pronounce it announced, but it goes to the nominator, and then so that they can be the one to tell you.
That's great. So, you started to talk about the different programs at Alfred, and I touched on it in my introduction, but could you share a little bit more about what Alfred University is known for academically? There are some really specialized programs that it's outstanding at, so I want to draw attention to that.
Yeah, so I think we offer a robust offering of liberal arts and sciences majors like biology, psychology, criminal justice, like in that field. Um, but I would say what we're known for, um, our College of Business is AACSB accredited, Less than 6% of schools worldwide hold this accreditation. We have a top-ranked arts program. Our ceramics arts, in particular, is second in the world. So there's only, obviously, worldwide, only one other school, but all of our arts are fantastic programs. And then our engineering. So we offer seven engineering majors, um, high quality engineering program, specifically unique, I guess, unique engineering programs are our ceramics engineering program, our glass engineering program, and our uh, renewable resources engineering program. So those programs are very unique as a whole. Are if graduating when a engineering major walks across the stage at graduation, they have anywhere from one last spring, they had either 1 to 12 full-time job offers walking across the stage. And then I actually have I should have had this better prepared, but we they have a on average a $78,000 starting salary for the engineering major as a whole post graduation, and the ceramic arts and or ceramic and glass engineering have a higher starting salary than that. They're those those two full-time job offers when they walk across the stage. They're really high demand, and we're one of two programs that offers that in the U.S. So very high demand. And then we recently
You
started.
told me that the ceramics that were used on the space shuttle were designed at Alfred University.
Yes,
Is that right?
yeah. The black tiles from the U.S. space shuttle, that material was made here and or invented here, and then obviously um, was on the shuttle, and then they. I'm trying to. Yeah, so yeah, we're one of two programs in that ceramics in the country, and so they're very desirable uh, individuals when they go. Oh, and then speaking, we don't have so we don't have aerospace specifically. We do have a space materials facility that and we I think um we put a ton of people into the aerospace industry um as a whole. Like our we outpace some schools aerospace program with number of people we're putting into the aerospace industry. So
Wow. So if that's your thing, Alfred is the place to be. I have one last question for you. And one of the things I try to do is paint a bit of a picture of life at a university. So could you tell me a little bit about the Alfred campus and the surrounding community and what that's like and how far you are from a major city?
yeah, so I guess I'll start with the distance and go from there. So we're a little over an hour to Rochester. I don't know if you would consider that a major city, but it is a city. We're about 2 hours to Buffalo. I guess that'd be like a, a major city. It's big enough to have professional sport teams in the United States. And we're located in Western New York. It's a gorgeous part of the country. Alfred, the city itself is rural, but very unique. So we have Alfred University on one side of Main Street and Alfred State on the other side of Main Street. Uh, so like it's a very unique town, and we're recognized as the ultimate college town. That's an award we received the last 2 years, I think, maybe three. And then we are within, a lot of people say, the middle of nowhere. I think we're in the center of everything within, you know, a a day's drive or a half day's drive, you can get to pretty much any major city on the eastern and slash Midwest of the United States. Um, that includes and I guess Canada, Montreal, Toronto, Boston, New York City, DC, Chicago, Detroit, are all within like a max of 8 hour drive. Which I know for UK that's a long drive, but in the US, it's that's like not a crazy drive. The community itself is super inviting and welcoming. It is safe and walkable. So like campus is literally located like on Main Street, so all the restaurants that are there, all the shops in town are right there, walkable from campus. Campus is fairly small, uh, geographically wise, and so you can get all the way across campus in like under a 10-minute walk. And then I say we're located at the edge of the Finger Lakes and the Appalachian Mountains. So we're like I said, very gorgeous part of the country. A lot of lakes, a lot of hiking, a lot of outdoor activities. If you're into that, we're not too far from a ski mountain as well. And so if that's something you're interested in, it works out perfectly because ski season doesn't even season don't overlap. So
So you mentioned, and this is my last question, I promise. You mentioned that you play in the Lake Effect Conference. Now, for those who are unfamiliar, Lake Effect refers to snow and having extreme snowfall because of proximity to the Great Lakes. What's the snowfall like at Alfred?
there is snow, but we don't get the lake effect snow. The lake of obviously there are some of the schools in our conference that definitely see lake effect snow, but we don't get anywhere near the snow that they get. I was talking, earlier this year, I was talking to a recruit who lived closer to the Buffalo area, and he said that they had gotten 2 feet of snow that day. He's about 45-minute drive for me, and he said they got about 2 feet of snow that day, and I think we had gotten about an inch or an inch and a half. So we do get snow, as anywhere in the Northeast does, but we are far enough from the lakes that we don't get the 6 feet of snow that Buffalo will get, in one storm. So
Enough to keep it pretty and fun, but not so much that it's paralyzing. That sounds like the perfect amount of snow.
yeah, I have a snowplow. I only used it once last year, and everything else was like, I'll just shovel it because it's not that bad. So
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing your rugby program with us today and teaching us a bit about Alfred University and your offerings. And I look forward to watching your program grow and flourish in the years to come.
thank you very much.